All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
Oh, my gosh. Why? Thank you. The Friday smattering of recorded applause always warms my heart. Albert is here.
Albert, thank you.
And so is Kim.
How are you?
I am Mark, and we have a lot going on. We'll try to ride herd over as much of it as we can. Albert, I'll ask you first. I don't mind doing this, and I think we're going to start doing more of it. Discussing things that are going on this show with the staff and things that should be done and aren't being done. And I want to ask you, Albert, did you tweet or X and provide what meager social media presence we have to the boys and girls on social media? You did.
I did.
If I
and
go
I
to X and I do this, I can find it?
Yep.
I'm not seeing it.
Up there.
Okay. If you say so, Albert. If you say so. Kim has prepared and updated a rundown that is already spilling over with breaking news today. The dropping of the Epstein files can be a little deceiving because the deception is when one says the Epstein files, it sounds like it's all the files, but it's not. With 6 million pages of Epstein files, you may wonder, like 3 million sounds like a lot. It's not all the Epstein files. Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. We have not heard enough already. No. Bring it on. Let's see who is who, says Milton Watkins from down under. Milton Watkins is our Australian viewer. He has the Australian outpost covered in a different hemisphere. He is watching live. National Day of Action, of course, is what we are looking at. Obi-Wan, thank you. We have a few things to get to today before I get to all the politics, but I do want to mention that Mo and Michael Shure will be here in the second hour. Yeah. And Courtney's stopping through, actually, in the first hour. Yeah, I know. Just with a little bit of a... does Mark take the... I missed that. Does Mark take
No, they want to know if you take your coffee black or with sugar, or how do you take your coffee?
I take it shaken, not stirred. I take it both ways. Born to peacefully resist or protest is this particular mug. This is available at getmarkmerch.com. I'm not pushing the merch. I'm just explaining it because there was a question about the coffee. But I do, in this case, I have just a dollop. It's so good. I had a half a cup of coffee black, and then this one in particular has a dollop of soy milk. I don't drink regular milk. I don't have any dairy, but it's delicious. Of course, the Coachella Valley coffee is just divine, and you will hear more about it later in the show. I did want to mention a couple of things, and I'm struggling with something. This is the Born to Peacefully Protest Yes t-shirt. Thank you for noticing. It's also at getmarkmerch.com. If you're protesting peacefully, this isn't a bad shirt to wear. And you can see the front of the shirt, Born to Peacefully Protest, has no other markings. On the back, right there at the top, you can see our logo.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to, I'll wear this shirt. I'm really more comfortable with a jacket. So I'm going to.
I bet the DOJ already has a file on you.
You joke, I think.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not joking. You're on that.
Very much,
Yeah.
I think that things are changing in terms of the way things are calibrated in terms of free speech in this country. Also, when it comes to journalists, we know Don Lemon was arrested. Yeah. I mean, I didn't see anything of that Don Lemon stuff that looked as though he was an agitator. He was really just doing his thing, It was very straightforward. But all of that said, I'll put it to the side for the moment. Some sad news about Catherine O'Hara. Catherine O'Hara Rest in peace. We will miss you, says Lucy McAllister, my favorite McAllister. It is so true that we will
Big
miss
shout
Catherine
out.
O'Hara, especially given the fact that she was so young. How old was she, Kim?
71.
I mean, she came out of SCTV. That's when I first became aware of her. Brilliant. I was going to say improv skills to the extent that they did sketch comedy on SCTV. I don't know how much it was improv, but she clearly had comic chops that were substantial. And then she began to show up in more and more feature films and had a career that was so very special. There she is in sort of a glam shot. She was in Home Alone, of course. She was in all the Christopher Guest films. Just a wonderful comic actress and also just a wonderful actress, And part of the comedy that is done so effectively is your ability to sell the reality of the moment and that committing to the character, which is what she did. Schitt's Creek, of course, she was in that. Thank you, John. Yeah. The very funny series, Best in Show, and she was, again, in so many of these offerings with Eugene Levy and with the other SCTV alums. I mean, Martin Short, all of these people all were in SCTV together. John Candy. It's a really sad day
Recently,
to get the word.
She was in The Last of Us in a dramatic role, and she was nominated for an Emmy there. And she was also nominated for an Emmy, I believe, for her role in The Studio is the name of it.
Oh, yeah, sure, of course.
She played a Hollywood producer in The Studio. She
That's
was in
right.
that as well.
It's Mighty Wind also, too. Yeah, everybody's reminding me. Beetlejuice, sure. She's in all of these different... Yes, The Studio, she plays a studio executive who kind of gets iced out and then gets brought back in. It's very, very funny. It's so sad. At 71, it just is too young. So much talent, so much life still to go.
Her agent only said it was after a brief illness, so we don't know exactly what happened there, but it was definitely unexpected.
Yeah, just a great, great loss. Sadly, it's not the only loss we have to share with you. Our dear Chris passed away.
Oh. He was such a wonderful person. If you don't know Chris, he was an engineer / board operator at KGO Radio, and you heard his name mentioned by Ron Owens because he was a smiling face behind the glass. He never really wanted to be on the air. He's known for always coming up with just the right song. And if you ever made a mistake or I made a mistake, he'd look at me and say, Kim, that's live radio. That's right. That's Chris Hernandez. And he had the longest commute. I don't know if you know this. He came to KGO every day from the Manteca-Lathrop area. And he would get up at the crack of dawn. He would get on an ACE train, drive to the ACE station, take an ACE train. Then after the ACE train at the end of the line, he would get on a BART train and BART into San Francisco. It took him a couple of hours. And every time something happened with the ACE train or on that, we all knew exactly his route. And we would call him and go, hey, there's a problem on the ACE train. What's happening? What are you seeing? So, yeah, but this
guy was my engineer on my show for the entire time that I had a show on KGO. And Albert, I used to make comments about his commute all the time, the one that Kim's talking about. I always talked about that Chris is here, with his, I forget what I used to say, 4 buses and a train or whatever. I made it more ridiculous every time I talked about it, but it really was what Kim's talking about, this insane commute. And Chris was, again, sort of that quiet force. As Kim's noted, he didn't want to be on the air. But I would always fold him into bits because he wouldn't say anything. So when the ongoing bit that we did every day was that Albert would share a K-pop song, and I would say, Chris, this one, though, you got to admit, it's got a good beat. And then I'd play a bunch of Simon Cowell drops saying, this is awful. This is terrible. No, no,
Sounds
no. This
hideous.
is and I would say, Chris, please. I mean, come on. And whenever there was something inappropriate, some story about some I don't know strip club that was busted, and I would start with establishing the strip club. And I would say, everybody's favorite strip club in San Jose, Pom Poms. And then I would play the applause, and I would say, Chris, please, it's not so I'd always try to bring him in some sort of inappropriate way, because he was not at all inappropriate, which is why it was so much fun. So we'd try to bring him in all of these different ways. He was this wonderful force. And there's one thing he also did, and this is a super production radio thing, but I love it because it is production and it has to do with sound and having your act together. I always wanted at the bottom of the hour, before we went to ABC News, I always wanted a hard out on whatever music we had. So I would always give him music that had a hard out. You know what, Albert, explain what that is. You know what I mean? Or Kim, when you like a final,
Yeah, like a finishing note. It's not like it fades to darkness. It was always like a finishing note.
A finishing note. So thank you. So, and then you would hear the ABC News theme. So I would always give him a different cut every day. And he would always, never missed, back time that, so that our first half hour and second half hour would end with that final note and then the ABC theme. And I used to tell him, God, that excites me when you do that. It just is great. Every day, Chris, I love it. I would tell him that over and over and over again. I really loved him. And in this, and I think honestly, probably, Kim and Albert knew Chris better than I did, but I just loved him on the show. And this really affects me in a weird, profound way. So I'm glad we have a second to recognize him. And for those who don't know, and I think most of you don't know Chris, he's the guy on the left there. The guy on the right is the news person, Brett, who we used to work with as well. He's still very much alive and working in San Diego now. But Walnut Creek Adult Softball says, R.I.P. Chris. I, too, remember the talk of his long commute. That's dedication and loving the people you work with. Well, I don't know that I think he was good with the people he worked with. I don't know how he was. He liked the job. He liked having a job. I don't know. He might have been very dedicated to it and loved going to work every day. I just always thought, wow, amazing. It's
he loved the Price is Right. That would always be the channel.
You'd have that on.
We always had TVs in there. He'd always keep that on.
Because in the engineers area, which was shared by Albert, he would have his daytime TV going.
That TV, that was his.
Yeah.
So,
sending condolences, Mark and Albert and everyone. Thank you, everybody. Anyway, we wanted to recognize that, and definitely was affected by it. So
it's hard to believe that he's gone.
It's a sad bit of news, and these losses are, I guess they're a part of life, but I'm really struggling with them, and it's a real problem for me. So it's something that maybe you can relate to. I think it's not related only to
very fitting. In the photo, you could see that he does have his clipper card, his BART clipper card, to show how much of a commuter he is. He kept that thing on him at all times.
I love it. I love it. Rest in peace, our dear friend Chris. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
This is Mark Thompson.
Now, the rest of the bad news, sadly, comes out of the U.S., much of it. There is all kinds of word about, first, the Epstein file drop. I'm going to talk about the Epstein files, and of course, we'll be talking about a lot of the ICE incidents with Mo and Michael in hour 2. But the Epstein file drop, having just happened, is as I was suggesting to you in remarks just a few minutes ago, associated with a 3.5 million page document dump, which sounds impressive, and it is on one level impressive. You'll remember it was compelled by Congress. There was congressional legislation related to this. So this isn't some Justice Department move that they're unilaterally making. This was, as I say, compelled legally. So it's a little early to know everything that's in this document dump. As I say, it just happened, but I can tell you two things at minimum. One is this isn't all of the Epstein files. As I say, there are about 6 million pages, according to many with knowledge of this, among them Ro Khanna, who's been quite vocal about this being only a partial release of that. And the second thing I'd say is that there are certain things not redacted here that you might have thought redacted, like victims' names, and yet there are widespread redactions associated with those who might actually be perpetrators associated with the acts of Jeffrey Epstein and this international human trafficking ring. And those redactions seem to be quite aggressive. So
That
with
seems
that,
to be backwards, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. And that's why I mention it. So here is a little something Albert will share with you as the news breaks of the DOJ and the Epstein files.
You're watching Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche giving an update on the Justice Department's efforts to release the Epstein files. He says the DOJ is releasing more than 3 million more pages of files today, as well as images and videos. Blanche says the department's only withholding files permitted to be withheld under law, including victims' personal information, depictions of abuse or child pornography, and anything that would jeopardize an active federal investigation. He also defended the department against accusations it doesn't take child sex abuse cases seriously, pointing to more than 290 arrests over the past several months. Our Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas is there at that press conference, and ABC's Peter Haralambous is here with us for more on that. So Peter, Blanche says he's releasing more than 3 million documents, but he says people aren't going to be satisfied here. Will this satisfy the terms of the Epstein Files Transparency Act?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think we'll get a clearer answer to that over the next few hours and days when we actually see what's in these documents. But for now, there are a bunch of concerning signs regarding the compliance with the law. First, we're nearly 40 days late from the deadline Congress set. Todd Blanche said that there are 3 million files here that they aren't releasing. That means about half of these files are still being withheld, he says, for concerns about the victims, but that's still a huge tranche of these files. Beyond that, the DOJ is making wide-ranging redactions here. They have a huge amount of discretion when it comes to that, but there's been in the past pushback to some of those redactions. He noted, for example, that they're redacting the face of basically every woman who appears in these documents with the exception of Ghislaine Maxwell. That's a kind of redaction that could raise some concerns about how far this is going and if they're potentially not showing critical information here. The one thing he did say, though, is that they aren't redacting or holding things back for national security reasons. That's the one definitive answer we got from Deputy Attorney General Blanche. But all things considered, while Blanche is saying this is basically the end of the road for the Department of Justice's role in this, there are still a ton of outstanding questions. And the story, to a certain degree, is just beginning in terms of actually going through these documents.
He also said they're not protecting the president, and then sort of gave Pierre a longer answer. We'll ask Pierre about that once he can get to the microphone. But I know you and the team will now be going through all of these documents over the next few days. What are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, there are a few things that would be kind of needles in this haystack. For example, we understand that in these previous DOJ investigations, prosecutors have done memos where they basically outlined their reasoning for charging decisions. Those memos are particularly important, specifically the investigation down in Florida. I think that is the biggest needle in this haystack, but it's hard to understate how many documents we're dealing with here. We're talking about terabytes of data, things that have been reviewed by the Department of Justice at this point for nearly 2 decades by probably dozens, if not hundreds of different investigators. They're just being uploaded en masse to a website. And we basically have to go through those individually to get a sense of what's actually in here. And then beyond what's actually in the documents, the degree to which this is actually complying with the law Congress passed.
No.
So that gives you a sense of things. And you'll remember that Todd Blanche went to meet with Ghislaine Maxwell in Florida. It was an odd thing that the number 2 guy at the Justice Department should go to Florida to meet with an accused and convicted, I was going to say enabler, but she's guilty of sexual assault. She's guilty of enabling this international human trafficking ring. She's serving 20 years plus. And after the conversation with Ghislaine Maxwell, and again, it's like there's no justification for it. There's absolutely no squaring that in any kind of framework that makes that meeting makes sense. I mean, the number 2 guy at the Justice Department goes and meets with Ghislaine. Why? It's not an ongoing case. There's nothing there. You have 6 million pages on this. You know, victim testimony. You know, other testimony. You know, Maxwell testimony. And you still are meeting with her? It seemed clear that the idea was they were trying to extract some kind of statement from her that clears Donald Trump, the president, from any kind of wrongdoing with Epstein. For public consumption, that statement would exist. And then Maxwell would receive something in kind, right, in return for that. So exactly what one might have thought happened. A recording is released of her talking to Blanche saying Donald Trump was never involved in anything. He was never around any kind of misconduct. He was never et cetera. And then she, and this is the clunky part of this administration, 2 days later is moved to a minimum security Texas, isn't it in Texas, penitentiary?
Mm-hmm, yep.
And
it's a
there are no
camp.
There are no inmates there guilty of sexual assault. It's unheard of. I mean, sexual assault is a serious thing. It's a violent felony. And she was incarcerated in a place where violent felons are incarcerated. But after Blanche, she was moved to Texas. So all I'm trying to say is there's a lot in this world, because Blanche was out in front of this release today, that just smells bad. And it still smells bad. So we'll learn more. But you're seeing in the chat, many people were sharing some of these various messages on screen with you. You're seeing that this isn't going to satisfy a lot of people, and you can kind of understand why. Now, there is a live poll up, and the live poll in our chat is, will the Department of Justice's Epstein dump actually expose powerful people? Yes, big fallout. Some info, no arrests. No, protected elites. And already buried are your choices. Again, yes, big fallout, some info, no arrests, no protected elites, and already buried. And if you look at the result thus far, you can see no protected elites leads the field. And that, again, may come as no surprise to you. I do think that that's on brand. The elites will be protected, have been protected. Yes, this release of files was compelled by Congress. Congressional legislation legally compels it. It compelled it 40 days ago. This world of the Department of Justice, completely populated by Trump functionaries and loyalists, had they been dry cleaning these files since the very beginning. We had word that 1,000 FBI agents were dedicated to this. Now you see why. There's so much material. But more to the point, when it comes to actual information and legally actionable, damning, potentially destructive information from a reputational standpoint, it does appear that many will be protected. So that's the latest. And again, this drop of the files just happened. So we're getting more, and we'll continue to get more and share it with you as the day goes on. I will discuss this with Michael and Mo in hour 2 as well. Anything else on Epstein before I move on, Kim?
No, I thought this was an interesting comment about the alleged deal made by 25 elites to have their names protected. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I did see it. I mean, I don't know the specifics on that and who those people are. Do you?
I had a story in yesterday about Ghislaine Maxwell, and she is the one that is saying apparently that the government made a deal with these 25 people that don't want their information to be released, she said that it was filed in a habeas petition last month. She alleged the Justice Department has given secret settlements to 25 men who could be considered as co-conspirators to Epstein's abuse. The filing says none of the men have been prosecuted. The habeas petition also means 4 co-conspirators who were that there were apparently not indicted in this instance. So, yeah, I guess there are 25 co-conspirators still yet to be named.
Yeah, and I saw that she had talked about that deal. We just haven't. I just can't put any meat on those bones yet. You know, who are those people? You know, high-profile men. I get it. It was all high-profile men. You know, give me more to work with. So, Ghislaine Maxwell is squawking in a way that may just sort of suggest, reminding you, I'm here. I can still talk.
Yep.
Where's my get-out-of-jail-free card? I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell is not in any way a positive figure in this entire thing, obviously. She was a groomer of these women. She was a predator in relation to these women, girls. So the fact that she's talking about elites that were protected is consistent with who she is. I'm not saying it's not right. In fact, I suspect it is right. But I think it's also serving the purpose of reminding people in the administration, hey, I still have information and I'd like to get the hell out of here. You know, I'm getting tired of my yoga class that I'm taking here in Club Fit. So.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Smash the like button for me, would you please? I know it's a weird thing in YouTube. It's a free thing, though. I mean, it doesn't cost you anything to hit the like button.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Yeah, do it like you care. You know what I mean? Fake it for me. That's all I'm asking. And you can subscribe to the show. Also, very much appreciate you sharing the show. You know, it's a weird thing, Albert. Usually the David Katz videos, and we had a great conversation with David Katz yesterday related to ICE, what ICE can legally do, how the feds and the whole idea of the feds protecting ICE agents and Border Patrol agents and federal agents, people who are in these American cities and communities under protection of the shield of the feds, how they can still be prosecuted by the state. But we talked about the fact that there are problems with those prosecutions. In other words, even as you try to prosecute these guys for everything, I mean, you know, assault, violent crime, even the execution of Alex Preddy. The problem can be that the federal government can block that, even as you try to pursue these state charges. So we had this great conversation with David Katz, and it also included a bunch of other stuff. And I really want to see that video shared. Share it on Facebook. Share it on your social media. That I think these conversations that we work so hard on bringing to you, I'd love to see you begin to share them. And again, that costs you nothing. So I mentioned that as well. I still have...
What's that video in the chat right now? The one from David Katz. So just
great.
click on that link.
Thank you so much. I will get to ICE and what's happening and some big news out of the world of ICE, not the least of which is associated with money. The troop deployments, I mean, it's crazy. This administration spends money like a drunken sailor on shore leave. I mean, it's absolutely insane. You know, this whole idea that, oh, the Republicans are responsible, they're fiscally responsible. I want to get, please. I mean, first of all, there's no historical standard by which that's true. I mean, there is manifest evidence that the economy is run into the side of a mountain in terms of spending when it comes to Republican rule. But again, and by the way, I call the Democrats out on waste as well, as you know. I call the homeless industrial complex out. All the people who are siphoning money out of that world. So this is not a party-specific thing, wasting money. But wow, these guys take it to another level. The troop deployments have cost almost $500 million, and they've only just started. So I'll get to a little bit more of that in a moment. But I did want to not get any further without a quick mention of one of
The
our...
Mark Thompson Show.
We are independent media. Independent media needs sponsors. We have a new one there. This is the first week they've been on the air, and my darling Courtney is with me on in the studio on this Friday. And Courtney, if you could please say hello to all the boys and girls.
Hello.
The latest and newest sponsor is Zelmans.
Zelmans.
Zelmins. Yeah. They are a breath freshener, and it's weird because they are minty when they go into your mouth.
Yeah.
But the idea is that you swallow these tiny capsules after the mintiness rolls around in your mouth, and then it's in the release of the parsley oil and the sunflower seed that in your stomach reacts and then keeps your breath fresh.
Yeah, it keeps your breath fresh. I tried something new with Zelmans.
Really?
So last night, I know. So last night when I started my hour and a half process of getting ready for bed, I finished my getting ready for bed with Zelmans because I read that Zelmans helps with morning breath.
What?
I know. Yeah.
Oh, morning breath. Yeah.
So I took a couple of Zelmans after I was done with getting ready for bed. And then I woke up and it really helps with your morning breath.
Wow.
I know.
It's a wild idea, but it just might work.
Not that Mark would have noticed or said anything.
I was going to say, if he leans in for a kiss now, you're like, bring it at 6 a.m. That's right.
No, I'm not even allowed to talk to Mark for the first 10 hours of the day.
I'm immersed in stuff early in the morning. I don't like to be bothered. But
he doesn't like to be looked at or spoken to.
Yeah.
But for the other people that would appreciate my fresh breath,
yes,
it was fantastic. It was a new utilization of Zelmans that I hadn't thought of. I'm so preoccupied with using it when I'm going to be in close proximity of other people, but this was a fantastic way to end the night.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, let's mention how you get it. Zelmans.com is where you order it. You use our discount code MarkT for 15% off. It's what I like about it is it's not a chemical agent. You know what I mean?
It's natural.
It's natural, yeah. And it reacts with the stuff in your stomach, and garlic, onion. That's where we really road tested it before we brought it on the air. And it really is the real thing. So again, go to Zelmans.com, Zelmins.com, Zelmans.com, and use our discount code MarkT for 15% off your first order. Thank you for supporting our newest sponsor.
Thank you for supporting our partners. It makes a world of difference. So.
And Courtney, thank you for
having me. Thank you for noticing my breath this morning, Mark.
Yeah,
Courtney,
I mean, I did kiss you this morning, but I didn't notice anything bad. What was that, Kim?
You're like Ellen. Didn't she say on the set of her show, like, no one's allowed to talk to her? Don't look at her.
No one's allowed to look at him or talk to him.
Don't look at me in the eye.
He probably kissed me to make me stop talking. It wasn't out of love or adoration.
All right. Okay. This has really gotten off the rails. But Courtney,
thank you for having me. Thank you for supporting Zelmans.
Yeah.
Please, consider it, try it. It's a great product, and we love the Zelmans family. So,
Courtney, everybody. Thanks, Courtney.
Hi, Courtney.
Zelmans.com, MarkT at checkout, 15% off.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shadow Stevens. This is the Mark Thompson Show. Keep it to yourself.
Right on, everybody. So glad we've got a lot of shows still to come. In fact, most of our show is still to come. Michael and Mo in hour 2. And, of course, the Culture Blaster, Michael Snyder, gets us hooked up on movies. Speaking of movies, before I get into the ICE stuff, I'm sure everybody is itching to get into the Melania screening. There is a number of very positive reviews about that film. They're all coming from Donald Trump's cabinet. But,
what?
Yeah. Well, they had a big, beautiful... because everything these people do is big and beautiful, premiere at the Kennedy Center, It's now the Trump Kennedy Center. And apparently the thing was attended by, all the CEOs, Jeff Bezos, of course, who paid for this film. It was a $40 million film. There was $35 million in marketing. One of the things that has happened with the marketing, as you know, they put these big bus cards up, and they also put in the bus stops these huge bus posters. $35 million they're spending on the marketing. So this is just, there are digital ads being purchased. There are ads on television, on cable, etc. And there are all of these posters. Well, apparently there has been extensive and severe vandalism associated with the Melania posters. And as a result, they are having to rethink where they put these posters. Now, they have them in bus stops. They are also going to put them on buses, and they're a little worried that people are going to be chasing the buses to deface the Melania poster. It's kind of incredible. I guess she's a divisive figure. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. Don't really know what her deal is. I don't know much about Melania. She seems, I'm going to be, but again, maybe I'm wrong, pretty clearly trophy wife material. But, nothing wrong with that. A lot of trophy wife stuff going on. I think, I'm sorry. Yes, Kim?
I could tell you one good thing about the Melania movie. The credits super short.
Yeah. No one's taking a credit on this movie. And Brett Ratner, who was really an outcast in Hollywood because of sexual assault charges and sexual harassment charges, he was Me Too'd, if you will. He actually spoke about this because, a lot of people in the crew didn't take credit on the movie. And Ratner's saying that he understands why. And he says, quote, before you pass judgment on this, you'll like the way this "I understand" turns into an insult. Quote, I understand if a liberal is working on the movie and they don't want to be credited, but they want to feed the family. I don't blame anybody for that. Ratner hinting that at least some of the reluctant workers were day players on his filming locations in New York, D.C., and Florida. One production person who does have their name on the project told one news outlet that they regretted being on the project because of Trump's second term. Quote, I'm much more alarmed now than I was a year ago. I feel a little bit uncomfortable with the propaganda element of this. But Brett Ratner was the worst part of working on this project. Wow. Oh. That's the insult for the director. Rolling Stone reporting that several complained about Ratner while praising Melania as friendly and very engaged. By the way, I don't think that's nothing. I'm sure she is friendly. It doesn't have to be, But I don't, if you look at Melania and look at what she said, I would just say this. I don't want to spend any more time on this after this, but because she didn't say a lot in season one of Trump, his first 4 years, there was a lot of sort of assumption that she was an unwilling participant in all of this, that the kind of world of Melania wouldn't really in any way countenance what was going on in the White House.
There's the vandalism. Yep.
Yeah, there's the vandalism, as you can see. But the reality is, as you saw and as you heard, she was very much part of this. She very much backs his policies. So she's rah, rah, rah. And so before, I get it, she doesn't say a lot, but don't necessarily ascribe or fill your feelings into what is basically the silence of Melania. She certainly chirped up when it came time to get rid of that rose garden. And the other thing that she does mention is honoring the history of the East Wing. She talks about that in the movie, because remember, when they shot the movie, it was before Donald Trump literally took a wrecking ball to the East Wing. So the East Wing has traditionally been the area in which the First Lady does her work and her office is set up. But in this case, they'll have to, again, I don't know where she's set up, some kind of, I'm sure, other provision has been made. But the point is, you can forget about the East Wing. Melania is in theaters near you. They did not let any of the critics.
There's never been anything like this.
Yeah, they didn't set up any screenings for any independent viewer. So all we have is the varnished and over-the-top reviews of those who were at the premiere at the Trump Kennedy Center. Good luck, Brett Ratner, and all the rest on that project. I'm sure you're very proud.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Hey, you know, you got to work. Kids got to work. Is that it? Anyway, that's the story. More Epstein files released by the Justice Department. We talked about that in the first half hour, and I'll speak more about it with Mo Kelly and Michael Shure. Don Lemon has been arrested by federal agents over his anti-ICE protest coverage. It's weird because, again, he wasn't an agitator. He was simply a reporter. This might in some way signal a pivot and an inclusion of reporters and journalists that is a watershed moment in this policy that the Trump administration has to knock down dissidents, to limit dissenting opinion, and limit those who are even disseminating information around dissenting opinion. That is to say, Lemon, and I think if you go back and look at it, I didn't see his whole report. It was I think it was a live thing that he was doing. He was streaming it. But it seemed to me that it was kind of just like, what are you doing here? What are your, and what are you hoping to do in terms of what's happening with disturbing this church service, et cetera? So it just seemed like he was a neutral party from the standpoint of what he was doing at that moment. You may not view him as a neutral figure, but it didn't seem like that report or whatever he was doing with that live stream was particularly arch in one way or another. Here, Albert's got a little wrap package on it. Go ahead, Albert.
We have breaking news for you. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon was arrested late last night on federal charges tied to a protest earlier this month at a church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Lemon says he was reporting as a journalist when demonstrators interrupted a service to protest immigration enforcement. A magistrate judge previously rejected the case against him, but prosecutors later sought and obtained his arrest. Lemon was taken into custody in Los Angeles and is scheduled to appear in federal court this morning. His lawyer, Abby Lowell, calls the prosecution an unprecedented attack on the First Amendment. We have Lisa Rubin here.
Well, I'll tell you, Abby Lowell is a major defense attorney. Abby Lowell defended the Kushners, defended Jared Kushner, and Abby Lowell defended Rostenkowski. Menendez was defended by the congressman or senator who was ultimately imprisoned. So Abby Lowell is a heavy hitter, I guess I would say. So Don Lemon has, top drawer defense. I think this is an easier case than some of those people who I mentioned were kind of involved in, because this seems, if a judge has already rejected Justice Department charges once, it would seem as though it might be a stretch to try to somehow involve charging Don Lemon once again. But it has happened. And it does, on some level, reflect, as I say, a way in which this administration may be going that should concern many. But remember, because it all happened at a church, there is the suggestion and the narrative being built that this is a leftist-led group that stormed into a church to disturb what was going on, and Don Lemon was part of enabling this. So once again, the First Amendment is there to protect journalists, and it seems as though the First Amendment may very much be something that is not only attacked, but dispensed with in large measure when it comes to dissenting opinion and this administration. We'll talk more about that with Mo and with Michael when they get here. I mentioned getting to ICE and wanting to get to that, and I really do want to spend a second on
The Mark Thompson Show.
Again, almost $500 million has been spent by this administration on the deployment of troops to 5 different U.S. cities, $496 million. That's through the end of December, according to the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office. So keeping these forces deployed at the same levels as late December could cost about $93 million a month going forward, according to, again, these same estimates out of the CBO. So the Pentagon in June, to remind you, deployed 700 active duty Marines and members of the National Guard to L.A. That was following protests over these ICE raids. And since then, you've got the National Guard deploying to Washington, D.C., Memphis, to Portland, to Chicago, Illinois, and other parts of Illinois? No, I think just Chicago. New Orleans. 200 members of the Texas National Guard are on standby for domestic deployments. So all of these things, if you just look at the money, come out to about $93 million, did I say? Yeah, $93 million a month. So just from a pure expenditure standpoint, stuff is getting expensive, and as you know, this is only serving to stir up trouble. Tom Homan is in Minnesota now. I've kind of indicated to you, here comes the new boss, same as the old boss, because Homan is putting a different face on a brutality at the hands of ICE that should concern all of us. And when it comes to ICE, there is a bit of, now video that really reflects the directive, I would suggest, that seems to cover all sorts of brutality, including shooting at drivers. Go ahead and play a little bit of that, Albert. There's again, these are off of social media posts, and social media is really where there's such a collection and treasure trove of information on what's happening in these various deployments. Go ahead, Albert.
The killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy here in Minneapolis were far from the only times that people have been shot at by federal immigration agents since Donald Trump started his aggressive immigration crackdown in American cities last summer. In fact, even before Renee Good got shot, I had started tracking cases in which federal agents shot at people during these widespread raids. The vast majority of those happened at people in their cars. We tracked 15 cases in which ICE and Border Patrol agents discharged their firearms at people in their vehicles since July. It was a very clear pattern, and the Alex Preddy killing does not fit into that pattern in the sense that he was not in a vehicle, but that case very much fits into the pattern in terms of everything that happened after the shooting. Specifically, in nearly every one of these cases, the Department of Homeland Security immediately went out and made statements accusing the person who was shot at of having tried to attack federal agents. And in many of those cases, those claims fell apart under scrutiny when video and other kinds of evidence came out. That's what happened in the Renee Good case. That's what happened in the Alex Preddy case. And it happened in more than a dozen cases before that. Let me tell you about one in particular. It happened in San Bernardino, California last August. It involved a guy named Francisco Longoria, who was driving his pickup truck through a majority Hispanic neighborhood when he was pulled over by Border Patrol agents. Longoria refused to roll down his window when the Border Patrol agents ordered him to. They then smashed the driver's side window.
Hey, you can't do that!
And at that point, Longoria drove away. As he was driving away, federal agents fired their gun multiple times at the passenger side of his vehicle where his teenage son was sitting. Several bullets struck the car, but nobody was injured. And immediately after that, DHS put out a statement accusing Longoria of having hit 2 Border Patrol agents with his car and injured them. But that's not what the video showed. There were 3 different videos showing that there were no agents in front of Longoria's car when he drove away. Longoria was charged with assaulting a federal officer, but in a court hearing, prosecutors admitted that they had no evidence that any Border Patrol agents had been injured, and they even admitted that they had no legal basis for stopping Longoria in the first place. DHS told me that there is not a pattern of agents using deadly force, that the pattern, in fact, is civilians attacking federal agents and requiring them to defend themselves. But what we're seeing here is a very clear pattern of DHS immediately after shootings like this one making statements that then turn out to be untrue. And that has undermined any kind of independent investigation into these cases. And it's made it so that a number of the criminal prosecutions of the people who were shot at have fallen apart in court. In the Longoria case, for example, prosecutors dropped that case less than a month after they filed it. And it's not the only one where that's happened. This raises questions about whether any of the agents involved in these shootings are at any point going to be held accountable.
So I think there's a lot there. First of all, some specific instances of what's happening with these agents, but also I think his point about, in essence, reverse engineering an investigation where you've already decided we're going to go with he was brandishing a weapon, threatening officers, et cetera, in the Alex Preddy case, for example. And now all investigations will, in essence, look to support that narrative, even though it's completely fictitious, right? He gave you that example of that guy whose window they broke, et cetera, saying that he was, directing his vehicle at officers. This is really where this administration is. And by the way, this is not just unique to this administration. I think oftentimes the feds can, even under other administrations, sort of suggest certain things happen. You'll hear this in police investigations across the board. Things happen that didn't happen. And they look to support that narrative with subsequent investigations. And that is exactly what's happened here. And the problem with all of this is the citizen journalists who have recorded so much of what's going on with their cameras. There's so much corroborative evidence for the narrative that goes against the BS narrative that they're putting out there, that you just can't swallow their BS narrative. That's what's happening with Kristi Noem. That's what's happening with Bongino. They are, or what's his name? Gregory Bogino. Is that the guy from Customs and Border Patrol? Bogino.
Bovino, I think.
Bovino, thank you. Yeah. Bongino is the FBI guy who, was a podcaster or whatever. The point is that they have shipped them out because they really leaned into the BS narrative. And then, as I've suggested, all that other video comes out and you go, guys, we're just, it's Orwellian to tell me that, oh no, he was an agitator and he was brandishing a weapon and they felt, a threat to their life. And then when you see the video, you realize, wait a minute, he was disarmed, thrown to the ground, beaten, heavily beaten by all of these agents who were on top of him. And then after he was disarmed, he was executed. I mean, you can see it right there. So these are the realities concerning ICE. Before I get to Mo and Michael, I want to play a little bit more of what is, I think maybe, play me Barry Moore. This is an Alabama, okay, so it's red state country. And this is a town hall where he is trying to defend a lot of that which we speak of when we talk about these ICE incursions. And he literally can't get the town hall done, and wait for it. At the end, he's booed so heavily that they just have to shut the town hall down and he leaves the stage. Go for it.
Why are people not getting due process?
So-
Why are any criminals not getting due process?
So the process for a citizen and a non-citizen are different.
False. False.
He's saying
Lies.
they're non-citizens,
The
they don't get
Fifth
due
and
process, which of course
14th
is not true.
Amendments allow for it. The Supreme Court has backed it many times. Shame. Shame. Bye, Felicia. I don't think he'll be staying for questions.
Yeah, so
Walked
he
away like a coward. Wow.
Yeah, walked out with his assistant, grabbing his papers off the podium. But that's what's happening. And this is reflected in all the polling. I'll talk to Mo and Michael about that, because the polling reflects how unpopular this entire policy is. There is a memo now, a new memo, ordering ICE agents not to engage with protesters. Border czar Tom Homan discussing the crisis that has emerged between ICE and protesters, saying the agency is working to alter how it operates. Quote, I do not want to hear that everything's been done here in a perfect manner. Nothing's ever perfect. Anything can be improved on. We're working on making this operation safer, more efficient, and by the book. And so the memo says, quote, and this is in capital letters, do not communicate or engage with agitators. It serves no purpose other than inflaming the situation. No one is going to convince the other. The only communication should be the officers issuing commands, according to the memo.
When they say by the book, I wonder what book they're talking about. Is that the book where you get to collect information on people that are protesting, which is, I think, unconstitutional? Is it the book where you get to shoot first and ask questions later? What book do you mean? Is it the book where you get to stop people that you're not allowed to stop, or break car windows and reach in and pull people out of windows? Is it the book where you get to arrest American citizens? I mean, what? Please give me the book.
Well, Kim, I can see there's not going to be a place for you in the new regime, but I am very much sure that the book that you're talking about is being rewritten to conform with the new book. So that is a little bit of ICE news. I will get to more of it with Mo and Michael as we continue. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
And I have to tell you that I have a quick word for you about, this is their 4th day with us on the air, I want to say, or is that, how long has Sweet 106 Bakery been with us? Has it been
Not long enough, man?
Just 4 days or 3.5 days? And you guys have been so great. You know, independent media depends on sponsorships, and it depends on wonderful partnerships. And Sweet 106 Bakery is a wonderful partner. We sampled their stuff. Now, even if you hadn't sampled it, this is a crew that knows very much what they're doing. Sweet 106, it's SUITE, like a suite of rooms, because they started in Sweet 106. Sweet106bakery.com produces in small batches baked goods that have been award winners in several forums. I'll give you an example. She's won Cupcake Wars twice.
What?
Yeah. And this wonderful concoction of confection that is transcendental, I mean, I want to bathe in it, is stuff that you can get. And they're Valentine's Day bundles of cookies, of brownies. They have straight up brownies. They have the blondie brownies. It's a mix of chocolate and blondie. And I'm sorry, but the layered cupcake is,
oh my God,
it may be the best thing on earth. You must try
Truly.
that. If you, pro tip, get that.
Yeah.
Sweet106bakery.com. Kim can't stop talking about it.
The level of delicious is insane. It's, I mean, wow. The Snickers cupcake cake, it's so good.
So,
it's very sweet. So a couple bites at a time. You don't have to overeat it. Man, is it worth every single penny. I love it. And you get the discount by using Mark T, 15% off. Mark T is the code. So yay, because happy Valentine's Day to all of us.
Yeah, there is a great Valentine's Day bundle that you can get. So go for it. Everything there, layered cupcakes, their best sellers, their hot picks. Get it all. You will not be disappointed. Share it with your friends. And I truly am astounded how good this stuff is. As I say, before we ever get a partner on the air with us, we road test it, and this was like the best road test ever. Mm-hmm. You know, Sweet 106 Bakery, guys, SUITE, sweet106bakery.com, and our discount code MARKT for 15% off at checkout. Sweet106bakery.com.
The Mark Thompson Show.
These two guys are so good to join us regularly. This guy is such a great voice of clarity. in times that require a voice of clarity. He's the brilliant Mo Kelly, everyone. And
you're talking about Michael Shure.
Well, Michael is also a voice of clarity, but I look, I'm not. Don't make me pick between children. I am. I'm very impressed by both of you. And the other guy we invited to the dance is a guy who has forgotten more about politics than many of us will ever know. He is the great Michael Shure. And yeah, I will start with the Epstein file dump because it has just happened in the last few hours. There's an interesting fact because there are 3 million pages apparently of these documents. Ro Khanna and others are saying, yeah, first of all, you're 40 days late on this. Secondly, that's not the whole thing. There's 6 million pages. You've given us half. Speak to this dump today. What's really happening? They had Blanche out in front making the announcement, Mo Kelly. What's your take on it?
It is more of the same. Yes, it is a deflection. It is a delay, and it's a Friday dump. And if you know anything, and I know you know this, but I'm saying in general, if you know that if you want to hide something, you release it, you announce it on a Friday. So it's not going to have the same blunt force trauma impact that it would on a Monday. And we know that whatever they have released has been culled, it has been screened, has been redacted, and it has been presented in a way which completely protects the president. And so I don't know if you can really glean anything of this other than it's more of the same. It's not compliance. It is more obfuscation. And I don't think we'll ever get to see the full unredacted Epstein files. And there's really not a lot that the Democrats can do about it other than him and haw and complain.
Michael?
Yeah, I think that it's more, almost right. It has a lot to do with the Friday dump, about getting it out there when the news isn't covering it. But as we've seen with this administration, how they operate, both from the Justice Department all the way up to the very highest levels of the White House, including the Oval Office, it is a part of distraction, right? Is they don't want any one news cycle to last too long. What's happening in Minnesota with ICE is lasting too long right now. And the fact that it's lasting too long means that they want to divert attention to other places. You saw that they arrested Don Lemon. You saw that they went into Georgia, into the Fulton County Elections Office there in looking at the 2020 election again and the recount. They're talking about Iran right now. Anything to take their the attention off of something that isn't going well, like ICE, even talking about the Federal Reserve. So, and I understand being a president and running administration's a busy job, and a lot happens on a day-to-day basis. This administration is both expert and devious in the way that they use these distractions and sort of create news stories so as to divert attention from something that isn't going well.
So this takes our collective gaze over to the Epstein files, you're saying, to take a lot of the heat off, perhaps the ICE situation, which is also polling so poorly. There's a lot that this administration has to kind of bounce between, because it does seem like they're taking on some water in terms of public sentiment. Albert, do you have the latest polling? And again, I know polling is troublesome and problematic in many ways, but it does seem as though a lot of what's going on the streets of America, the images of people being brutalized at the hands of federal officers, these are all things that aren't playing so well. And so, again, Republican support for Trump's agenda declining over the last year, and the percentage of people who say that they support all or / most of Donald Trump's plans and policies is as follows. And for those who are just listening, in total, from a 35% net approval rating to a 27% approval of supporting all or most of Donald Trump's plans and policies. And if you're in a Republican area, and of course you'd expect that to skew toward support of the president, we go from 67 to 56%. And of course, the Democrats, there's virtually no support at all. I show you that again with the disclaimer that polling has its problems, but there seems to be a lot that's unpopular in this administration. Again, that wasn't about Epstein files or ICE. It was about all or most of Donald Trump's policies and plans, Mo.
I want to take a different tact with that. And this administration, and even Trump 1.0, wasn't really responsive to negative polling. They would dismiss it. They would say, well, my base, the president would say, my base is still solid, which is true. This is indicative, I think, of something more, a pressure point which had not been pushed or pressed upon in previous months, where we saw the administration blink. And I don't know if it's due to polling. I don't know if it's due to internal concerns. I don't know if it has to do with some sort of other initiative or relationship that they're worried about trying to further cultivate. I don't know the reason. That's what it comes down to. But I do know this is a deviation from what the administration had done before in response to quote unquote negative polling or unpopular practices and policies. Everything they've done has been unpopular. DOJ was unpopular. The National Guard in cities was unpopular. ICE has been unpopular. Now, this is maybe a higher degree of unpopularity, but they've never blinked. They blinked on this occasion, which says to me that there's something else in addition to this in this equation.
That's a really good point, Michael Shore. You know, they've done a lot of stuff that really hasn't polled particularly well, but they lean in hard on it. I mean, I'd forgotten about the fact that DOJ was so problematic for Elon Musk that he had to leave government. I mean, you know, Tesla sales were cratering because of this role that he had with DOJ.
Yeah, and on the other hand, the Doge coin, which is probably why he was involved with it, made him, from what I understand, a ton of money. So there was there's always a method to his madness, and often it's financial success. But I think what Mo's saying is right, and that's why when you read the polls aren't always where we want to put our attention, because the polls, while they tell us the general sense of what is going on, we're dealing with an administration and in tow a Congress that goes along with that administration, even when things are unpopular, because of the guarantees that they give you that, oh, you stick with us and things are going to be okay. And that's really what has propelled this administration to do things that are, as Mo said, not very poll popular.
They may not be poll popular. You guys both make the point so well, but one of the other things that I'd suggest is sort of an expansive aspect of tamping down dissent that this administration seems very much committed to is perhaps played out in the arrest of Don Lemon today. So they arrest him. He was in Los Angeles, and I guess they tried to get an arrest going with a judge earlier who rejected the general prosecution evidence associated with the arrest warrant. But now they got another judge to say yes. In any case, Don Lemon is arrested for his role in reporting on this church disturbance. I wonder if you could speak to the degree that you want to the specifics here, but also to, as I say, maybe the expansion of going after reporters and journalists. This is, you know, yet another front on them beating back dissidents.
Yeah.
We'll start with you, Michael Shore, please.
Yeah, sorry, I thought, I mean, and I think you said it all, right? I mean, Don Lemon was ostensibly covering a church service that was going to be protested by a pastor. It was being held by a pastor in Minnesota who is himself an ICE agent. So there was going to be a clash. Don Lemon is a journalist, and he was going to cover the clash. How he got the information, how he got there, what he was doing there, he's a journalist. And this administration has torn down the practice of journalism from the very moment and before they got to the White House. The notion of fake news, the notion of picking and choosing who gets to report news, as we see in this White House, is abominable. I mean, it's just terrible. And so doing this with Don Lemon is high profile. It pisses off the right people who they want to piss off, and it gets the right people on their side excited. So it's, it's a tactic that they've used in going after journalism for a while now.
There is an owning the lib aspect to that. I didn't think of that. Like they could win on that, Mo, you know?
Yeah, this kind of speaks to me a little bit more personally. I'm not a fan of Don Lemon, but I respect what he does as an independent journalist, as I am, as you are, Mark Thompson. And so this hits closer to home. This is politics in search of a prosecution. And for all the criticism of calling people fascists or don't call the president a dictator, I mean, we're there. We're actually there when you are jailing, quote unquote, dissidents, when you are putting journalists in jail for reporting, not participating, but reporting on an actual protest. You will not find any video of Don Lemon precluding parishioners or congregants from leaving or actually interrupting the service. He was chronicling what was happening as it was happening. And when you have the federal government seeking out a sympathetic judge, not a grand jury, but a judge to sign off on some sort of arrest warrant for a journalist, and it's not going to stick. You see, this is the performative politics of a fascist administration. And unfortunately, that the word has been used so much that people may not necessarily understand the weight of it. But if you're wondering whether we're living in a dictatorship, we're here. This is the same week in which the president put up a picture of Vladimir Putin in the White House. This is the same week in which he refused once again to release the totality of the Epstein documents. You have to look at this in all-inclusive, encompassing picture of everything that this administration is doing, which is indicative of a fascist state.
In keeping with that, one of the moves that was made by the FBI this week was to go into Georgia and to grab voting, not only voter rolls, but boxes and boxes of documents and ballots related to the 2020 election. There was no even chain of custody on this stuff. In other words, they pull this stuff out, you don't know where it's going. Georgia election officials are saying stuff like, hey, we keep track of this stuff. You know, we have a responsibility to our voters to keep this in such a way that's sacrosanct. These guys just took it. We don't know where it's going. There seemed to be almost a recklessness about it. But more than that, it's to pursue a narrative that was associated with the election lie, that the election was stolen in 2020. And I think there's a lot to the midterm that they will manipulate, and a lot to the way in which they will suppress many of these voters who are on those rolls in places like Georgia. Now, they literally had the FBI go in and seize that stuff. Play me a little bit of Jonathan Karl, if you would, and then I want to hear what the guys have to say, because I think Karl lays it out pretty clearly. I mean, this isn't a count in Georgia related to the 2020 election that is in any way in doubt. So this is a total fiction that you're going to go in there and reveal any new information. Go ahead, Albert, please.
This hasn't gotten much attention, but Donald Trump has been posting and reposting some bizarre and thoroughly discredited conspiracy theories about the 2020 election. I'll get to why this is very important, especially right now. One thing that he reposted is this conspiracy theory that alleges that the Italian government somehow used military spy satellites to hack into voting machines in the United States to flip votes from Trump to Biden in 2020, and that the CIA was involved, the FBI covered it up, thoroughly discredited stuff. I know about this conspiracy theory because I wrote about it extensively in my book, Betrayal. And then in another repost, he alleges that, quote, Barack Hussein Obama conspired with not one, not two, not three, but four foreign powers to overthrow the United States government in 2016. Now, this is an interesting one because if Barack Obama was trying to overthrow the government in 2016, he was overthrowing his own government because at that year, he was the president of the United States. So why is this important now? Well, the FBI this week seized old ballots in Fulton County, Georgia. And they wouldn't say exactly why, but through this series of posts and reposts on social media, Trump has made it clear that it's about his long-held allegation that the election in Georgia was stolen in 2020. Here's the thing about the election in Georgia. The ballots were counted after the election. They were recounted, and then they actually went through a third recount by hand. Nearly 5 million ballots cast were all recounted by hand. It took a week before Georgia finally certified the election. The election was certified by the Republican Secretary of State. There were several legal challenges that were all knocked down by the courts. This is one of the most thoroughly analyzed elections in the history of American presidential elections. And it looks like Donald Trump is now still trying to challenge the results, Georgia election officials are now worried that what's happening here is an attempt to intimidate them and to set the stage to challenge the results of the next election.
Yeah.
So this is important to watch.
I think this is exactly right, with even another layer that you could lay on it. I mentioned voter suppression and challenges I'd put kind of into that category. But I also would say with Maduro in American custody, and this maybe you consider me way out there, guys, on this one, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this administration try to extract some kind of false confession from Maduro about how he tried to manipulate the election or even did infiltrate the election in some way. There is that narrative, as you know, running through a lot of what we heard in 2020. So I'll start with you, Michael. Break down this Fulton County thing for me.
It's like so much of what governs the way Donald Trump operates is that he goes back to see where he feels he was wronged, where he doesn't believe history, and he doesn't stop. And now that he is in power again, he feels like he can go in there and change the narrative. He wants to be the only person since Roosevelt elected 3 times as president, and he is convinced that that's what has happened. To that degree, this is not surprising. What is surprising, in a sense, is that there are people that are, when you look at the way Trump operates and you look at how much this has been investigated and how angry he is with Georgia, how angry he is with Brian Kemp, how angry he is, who's the governor of Georgia, with so many of the Georgia elected officials, that this is how he's going after them. I thought that he was going to go after them in different ways. And the only thing I take issue with John Karl about there is that, he said that Barack Obama was trying to overthrow the government in 2016. And John Karl said, Obama was president in 2016. Why would he do that? Donald Trump wants to overthrow the government now in many ways, and he is president now. So his way of thinking is not in the line of traditional thinking that John Karl is employing here, because that's what Trump thinks Obama was trying to do, because that's in many ways what he is trying to do at every sort of lower level of government. And
that's such a great point that oftentimes, it would seem as though Trump ascribes to others the dirty work that he is doing or would do, Mo.
I think people should be careful to not look at individual acts of the Trump administration in a vacuum. You can't look at Georgia and look at those implications on a previous or future election and not also look at what he's doing with ICE, as using them as potential poll workers, how they're sending ICE to the various polling stations, or they say they're going to. All this is a part of a coordinated assault, my word, on the midterms. And this also goes back to what you said, Mark, in our previous conversations about how they're laying the groundwork where they're going to contest every election result which they don't agree with, meaning that Republicans may lose or may be not beneficial for the Trump administration. All of this is a part of coordinated strategy to negatively impact the midterms. And I don't know if the Democrats are looking at this through a big picture lens and being able to see the totality of this strategy.
Yeah, I don't think they have that big picture lens typically in their gaze from what I've seen. There's one footnote to the entire thing with the FBI raid. The presence of Tulsi Gabbard was surprising. I'll just read you this one account. She's the director of national intelligence, okay? And when they captured Nicolas Maduro in that military operation, she had posted photos of herself on a beach just 2 days earlier at sunset practicing yoga. And she sent out a New Year's greeting for peace. And so she appeared to be on vacation in the run-up to the capturing of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. So contrast that with what was happening in Georgia this week. There she was at an election center in Fulton County, Georgia, as FBI agents conducted this raid seeking ballots from the 2020 election. Gabbard, first of all, I don't quite see the DNI overlap here. And I see the conspiracy theory overlap. She's a big conspiracy theorist, and she's kind of been in the shadows of this administration. I just don't see what she was doing there. And so when we talk about big picture and keeping an eye on the big picture, I see stuff like that as maybe, tipping the game once in a while. You know what I mean, Mo?
I know exactly what you mean. And all of this is part of a larger mosaic. Some of it may seem like, quote unquote, flooding the zone and helter skelter, but there is a coordination to all of this. There is a pretext for all of this. And the only singular thread that I can find that there is about the appearance of impropriety, calling for the investigation, arresting journalists. It's about the appearance of impropriety. It doesn't matter if the charges against James Comey or Don Lemon stick. It's the fact that they were indicted and or arrested. Going back to even the second impeachment proceedings where you had Donald Trump asking Vladimir Zelensky to just open an investigation on Joe Biden. It's about the appearance, not about the actual result. That's the only through line that I can find here. And that also applies to the elections. He wanted to sow doubt, and I think he's been successful in that regard as far as people on a certain level not trusting mail-in ballots or calling into question their legitimacy, even though we've had them for the past 200 years or so. And if we're not ready for what he's trying to do with just the midterm elections, then we're in for a rude awakening as far as what's going to happen the final 2 years of this administration, because they're gearing up right now to make sure that the midterms do not allow the Democrats to take control in at least the House.
Yeah, Michael, sure. That really obviously would be a goal of theirs, to try to maintain control of the House. How do you do the calculation politically and then working in the Trump effort to perhaps affect the election, maybe as Mo has suggested, with a troop presence, with an ICE presence, with some kind of a voter suppression that you're working there, all these different ways to take care of the midterms? You had to unmute for me if you would. Thank you.
Thought I'd unmute for you there, Mark. Georgia has been and Alabama, the cradle of voter suppression in American history. And to go back down there is unironic, right? I mean, you go in there and you talk about how it was stolen there. You struck out in Georgia already. You struck out in Arizona. You struck out in Pennsylvania, and for that election. And so going back in there, you're reminding people that Big Brother is watching you, and voter suppression is going to be one of the only tactics they have in places like Georgia, in limiting ballot access where they have control. But here's the thing: Georgia Republicans do not back the president on this story, and you do need a little bit of complicit, cronies in these places in order to get these kind of things pushed through. I think that, I don't think there's a stink on the rose with all Republicans with Donald Trump, but I think there is a fatigue with having to stand up and defend Donald Trump in the way that they have. And I think that fatigue is going to make it a little more difficult this time. But the warning flags have to be up all the time.
I'm just seeing this now. Red states will refuse to certify seats that flip, says Joy. There is the way in which you can dig into certification and lack of certification. Like, that is yet another way that you can influence outcome, Mo, or at least create a delay and a cloud around outcome.
You can refuse to certify. You can delay swearing in. We've seen all these tactics here and there, but I think all of them will be called into service at once as we move through the midterms. And we're not talking about just the normal recount process, the mandatory recounts when we have elections within maybe 3 points or something like that. I think we're going to see widespread contests of refusal to accept the results from coast to coast, and just delaying the whole process of getting the next Congress installed. Let's be honest, if we use history as a guide, there's no way that this administration is not going to lose seats in the House. It's just not possible. That goes back to the unpopularity. It also takes into account that historically, the administration in the White House, that party, they usually lose seats, not all the time, but most of the times. But we also take into account that this president is vastly unpopular, all those things. And I think the president is aware of this, and that's why he is so gung-ho on making sure that these midterms do not happen in the way that they should. But we have to assume that this president is going to try to thwart the Democrats taking over the House, which is the likely result of these midterms.
I want to quickly turn to international just in the last couple of minutes, because yesterday Donald Trump signed an executive order to slap tariffs on goods from countries that provide oil to Cuba. And again, the now articulated notion that there is likely going to be regime change and government toppling in Cuba, it's something that Trump is alluding to. And this order declares a national emergency, establishes this process for the tariffs to be assessed against countries that sell or otherwise provide oil to the island nation of Cuba. I'm just reading from this report. The White House has yet to specify tariff rates for violating this new policy of blocking Cuba from buying oil. But again, this is part of the plan, and this goes with Venezuela as well, the interdiction of those boats, the taking of that oil, the taking of the oil profits, moving them to a bank account in Qatar that the administration has control over. There's a military flex, an aggression, a hemispheric, I'd suggest, agenda. This is definitely the hand of Marco Rubio, it would seem, in part, when it comes to Cuba. Michael Shure, put this in some context.
Well, it's also a business flex, right? I mean, we now have some more control over the oil in Venezuela. Well, let's sell it and see Americans make money. The investors who are investing in Venezuela, Chevron and others, let's make sure the only people that can sell oil to Cuba are the ones that are selling it from Venezuela, which would make Americans rich and presumably donors to Trump and Rubio rich as well. And that's not, entirely the motivation here, right? I mean, there are so many different ways of looking at this, but secondary tariffs, which is what this really is, are a way of exercising aggression on our allies, and Trump isn't happy that our allies are sort of banding together here.
One thing I would say on Venezuela is that Venezuela has debt with China. And one of the ways they're dealing with that debt with China is providing oil. So this isn't about money there. That's about payment in, if you will, trade. And in essence, we've taken over Venezuela now. We have to deal with that debt. Now, maybe there's a way that you can just forget about that debt or view it as it's debt to China, so we don't need to in any way.
Right. I mean, you have to qualify the debt too, and who the the creditors are there does always make a difference. Yeah.
Yeah. In any case, I'm just saying that it's another way to get around the money part, but yet it does relate to money. Go ahead, Mo. But put this in some context too, please.
It's fair to assume that Venezuela is or was the trial run. We'll probably see many of the same tactics. We'll have some sort of pretext and pretense for some sort of military aggression, be it quote unquote drug boats or a violation of these sanctions and economic policies, which will lead to some sort of regime change. And I say that Venezuela was the trial run because it tested their tactics, and it also tested the international community's resolve to act. And since the international community largely has not reacted and Venezuela has gone off without real international pushback, any measurable pushback, then you can see that this is going to be employed in Cuba as well. So if we start seeing quote unquote drug boats being destroyed, in the Gulf of Mexico, as opposed to the Gulf of America, I would not be surprised.
And this at the same time that there is a flex going on related to Iran. So this is an administration that's very busy. They're busy on the streets of America. They're busy around the globe. And there seems to be a...
and not being self-critical here, but the reason they do all of this is because of what just happened. We haven't really been talking about ICE. We haven't really been talking about Freddie and Good and other things, which is, we're a small window, and we think of ourselves as having talked about it a lot, and before it happened and during, and we will continue talking about it. But the point I'm making is we're talking about Iran and Cuba and Venezuela. We're talking about Georgia. We're talking about Don Lemon. We are talking about the other things that they want to deflect from or towards, and that's how it works for them.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, I spent a half hour talking about ICE on this show, but you're right.
I know, Mark. So that's why I'm saying I know that it's not like it gets ignored in this sphere. But I mean, as in our visit today, this is considered successful in for them in that we have been focusing, and some of our attention, little pieces of our pie of attention, have gone in other places.
As I say, I think it's a really good point, because a lot of the videos that we show, and how I've said before, I think a lot of the pictures of what's going on, the video that's in evidence because of citizen journalists, essentially, that's the thing that defined the Alex Preddy narrative as BS. I mean, you could just see that this guy was executed. He was disarmed and executed, and so the idea that that stuff's getting bumped out, I think it's a fair point. And I think your point about, look, there's so much going on here that it does begin. You begin to orphan stories that probably shouldn't be orphaned, and I think it's a fair point as well. On the way out here, I did want to give you a story, Michael, that is really and Mo, you have to know, Michael's got a death grip on the world of hockey. He loves hockey. And we share a love for tennis. I think, Mo, you do also. But I think that
love that had me sleepless over.
Yeah, I was watching tennis as well last night, all night. But when it comes to hockey, you're on your own, Michael Shure. And President Trump yesterday warned Canada that because of their new warming of relations with China and their new trade deal there, he believes that they may not be able to play hockey anymore. Quote, "It's very dangerous for them to do this, and it's even more dangerous, I think, for Canada to get into business with China. Canada's not doing well. They're doing very poorly, and you can't look at China as the answer," he said. And he talked about the fact that hockey may be going away. "I know China very well," he says. "I know President Xi. He's a friend of mine," Trump said. "I know him very well." So he said, "I know him very well" 3 times. And then he said, the first thing they're going to do, and this is the one you really want to pay attention to, Michael Shure, is you're not going to be allowed to play ice hockey anymore. That's not good. Canada's not going to like that. I wonder if you could speak to this.
Well, finally, he said something that scares me and that I believe. No, I think everything is going to be okay. I find it. I always think it's funny when people think he's so simple that he thinks Canada hockey, that's all they have. Why are they bothering with dealing with other nations and other countries? So I got to say, I'm not worried, and bring it. We've got helmets.
Well, before you close the book on this, Mo Kelly, you and I should just talk about the fact that the invitation that was extended to Canada to join Donald Trump's Board of Peace, which is populated by fascist dictatorial regimes, Canada had their invitation withdrawn, Mo Kelly.
Yeah, it's very Orwellian. War is peace, up is down, night is day, all the things which are completely opposite of what they are. He wants the Nobel Peace Prize, but he is actively engaging in military conflict and spurring on military conflict around the world. He is alienating our own allies. He wants to break up NATO. He's questioning the existence of NATO. He's pulled us out of the WHO. I don't know what to say except that, he has been very consistent in his designs and desires to alienate us from our allies, Canada inclusive of them.
I want that peace prize, or I'm going to send my battleship over to your country, and I'm going to occupy until I get it. I'll see you guys at the Melania screening. It was a pleasure to visit with you both.
Yeah,
Mr. Mo Kelly.
I'll be there. I've already seen it a few times. It's so good. I feel like I missed some things, so I'm going to go back again.
And Michael Shure. Thanks, boys.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
I come from regular stock.
There's a reason that this place is fun. Don't ever use that word.
What are the porn stars doing, Mark?
They pay me a lot of money for having attitude.
What you say is the political dogma that they're trying to shove down our throats.
Straight up, right in, no problem.
What the hell is going on in the United States of America?
Cuatro años más.
I don't wear a mask for the same reason I don't wear underwear. Things gotta breathe.
Say what?
Do you have a secret talent?
You get nothing. Y'all can all go to hell, and I'm going back to Texas.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
Did you really just do that?
Right on, everybody. Right on. I got an email from Karen in Taiwan. Imagine that.
I've received a lot of positive letters.
Yeah. It was in response to one of the comments we got from that shadow boxer, Shadow 5 boxer.
Yep.
You know. And so I like when people in the audience take up for us. Thank you, Karen in Taiwan. Thank you. If you want to write to me, you don't have to always take up for us. Some people are troubled by things.
Big shout out.
You can take up your trouble with me. The Mark Thompson Show at gmail.com. You got to put the in there. The Mark Thompson Show at gmail.com. By the way, there are links to all of our sponsors under all videos. These are our partners. Please support them. Consider their products. There's the email address that Albert has on screen. Albert dutifully putting it on screen some seconds after I mentioned it. Amazing.
Albert, thank you.
Yes. The Mark Thompson Show at gmail.com. And again, under all our videos, links to all of our sponsors. Please support them. They are our partners. And I am, before Florida, always wanting to wet my whistle with some coffee.
No, I'm trying the jasmine tea today.
Oh, yes. The jasmine tea.
It's really
What?
good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can find everything you want in the way of coffees and teas. This is the best coffee I've ever tasted. Michael, you're drinking the Coachella Valley coffee right now, aren't you?
Do you like
Do you like it black, or do you like it with a little
I like
dollop
it with a little
soy creamer
or whatever? Yeah, but it's preferable
almond
that way.
cleaner?
I will agree with you. It is the finest coffee you can get anywhere across the globe. I've had Lavazza in Italy.
Yeah.
I've had Ely. I've had all the classic roasts,
sure,
nationwide and worldwide. And
Yeah.
I will say unequivocally, Coachella Valley coffee is the best of them.
Well, there you heard it. I mean, that's quite impressive.
There is nothing in our history that quite compares to this.
Exactly. Coachella Valley coffee is amazing. Kim speaks to the tea.
So
I love
good.
the tea as well, the loose leaf.
Hands down, best tea ever.
Spices, tea, coffee, it's all there at CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. This is a boutique roastery. All the beans are hand roasted. So do check them out and get our discount for anything and everything you order on the site. You want to go in heavy, hip deep with the merch? Do it. Take 10% off. CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. And it's Mark T at checkout for 10% off. Right on. I know what you're thinking. Mark, you've forgotten about Florida.
No, never.
No, I have not. No, I have not. I was simply taking a little respite. Guess what just came into iHeartRadio last night when I was over there? A Christmas card that hadn't yet been. They are really slow on some of my mail. But this is a Christmas card from the magnificent Calvin Wong, shadow producer of this show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Hope you have a wonderful Christmas, Mark. You're a great person that cares a lot for others. Stay that way. Stay healthy and happy. Calvin Wong.
Nice. Another
Calvin,
nice message.
Really nice. It's nice to get a nice message and a big shout out to my shadow producer, Calvin Wong. All right.
Another nice message coming from Richard Delamater. He says, Mark is a handsome SOB, and this is the best show on YouTube.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta love that. Thank you. Well, do I have to do comments here before Florida? What is the order I have to do these things?
What do you want to do? You want to do a few comments and then go right to Florida?
I like that. Yeah. So we'll do the comments, and then of course we get the Culture Blaster coming up.
And now, your comments.
Okay, let me just quickly look at this. Good day from Australia. Hope everyone is well. And good day to Milton. Milton is our outpost for the Mark Thompson Show in Australia. And the Australian Open is a wonderful way to participate in Australia these days. I love every January. Someday I'll go in person. Perfect 5 minutes late. Hang on a second. Perfect 5 minutes late.
And I'm right
on time. Happy Friday, everyone. Yeah, because we were a little bit late. I get what you're saying. We get what you're saying. I mean,
Don't talk to me that way.
Yeah, don't imply somehow that we're late every day, because we are. Art is fine with 20 euros. I'm loving my...
What?
I know. Loving my euros. Big shout out. All our favorite boys and girls in Europe.
Big shout out.
Van Damme...
Mish? I don't know what it is.
Albert, help me on this. You're an international guy. You travel all the time. Art is fine, or art is fine, writes Van Damme. Are you?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure. I mean, it's 20 euros. Can we put our best people on it? I mean, it really is.
Mish this month has 31 days here in Europe.
Yeah. Can somebody maybe investigate what that is? Do you know? You're an international guy, Michael. Do you speak French and stuff? Do you know what that is?
I do. This looks to me like he's referring to his good friend Van Damme Mitch, who probably is spending the entire month in Europe.
I don't think that is.
What?
I do not think that's
good
what
old
it
Van
is. Yeah, I've cut your mic. You're of no help to us now. All right, fine. Thank you anyway. Art is fine. We love you and we appreciate your support. Can anything else? Only for Mark and Kim do I spend a dime today, says Cindy. I know this is a day of national boycotting so much of what's happening in American cities and what is feared to be happening in more and more communities, with ICE and the feds moving in under the guise of looking for illegals, looking for those who are violent criminals, when the reality is it's a shakedown. It's an opportunity to rough up so many. Have you heard that? Thank you for the $10.
Big shout out.
Yeah, big shout out. Have you heard the new Springsteen protest song? I know there's a lot of buzz around this. Michael, you heard it, didn't you? You're a rock and roll guy, culture guy.
I have, and it actually has a lot of heart, and clearly he was moved through anger and concern to express himself, and he does not shy away from fingering the people responsible in the lyrics. And in that way, it's very much like in the classic folk protest tradition.
Oh.
It opens up with an acoustic intro, and then the band comes in. It is not his greatest song, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
And the performance is, it was just done spontaneously, I can tell, but it has great power, and I thank him for standing up for justice, for what's right, and against these monsters.
Right?
It's fantastic.
Well, apparently somebody else feels that it's fantastic,
That's
even
good.
as you...
Glad I'm not alone.
I think you're, Michael, very, I would say a restrained effusiveness associated with that endorsement. Chaplain Fred says, good morning, everyone. I was invited to a horror movie today called Melania. Oh, my God.
What?
I will not have the First Lady spoken of this way. My God. But I am too scared to go. can you go with me, Mark, and hold my hand? Well, I can go with you, but I don't think I can hold your hand. I don't like to hold hands at the movies, you know. Nothing against Chaplain Fred. Melania to displace the attack of the killer tomatoes, the terror of a tiny town, as the worst movie of all time, says Mark Elliott. It is true she's not getting in this movie the best reviews. The film is not being super well received. Now, Michael, they had no critic screenings of this, so, you know.
I will address some of this during our segment, Mark.
Okay, very, very good. And I also have, I got to move it along because I've got a recorded interview coming up today. NPR said that Melania made $25 million for this. Yeah, that she did really well with it. I don't know how she negotiated that deal. Anything else? No?
I think we'll have more at the end.
All right. Thank you for your comments. I'll remind you that there's a flash poll up.
It's a Mark Thompson Show flash poll.
Albert, quickly, let's do that, and then I'll do Florida, and then we'll giddy up with Michael Snyder, the culture blaster. But the poll is related to the Epstein files. Epstein files dropped, as you know, just a few hours ago. And again, the entire file package of 6 million documents didn't drop. It was legislatively compelled to drop, but it didn't. Half of that number dropped. Will DOJ's Epstein dump actually expose powerful people? Your options are yes, there'll be a big fallout, some information, no arrests, no protected elites, and already buried. Here are the results on screen. You can see most, by 39%, say protected elites. Some information, no arrests, is in second place with 26%. And already buried, 21%. Again, yes, big fallout, 15%. I think it's true that while this is, I think it can be a mix of some information, no arrests, and protected elites. Clearly, the protected elites part is something that's baked into the Epstein file saga. So we continue.
The Mark Thompson Show.
You can vote on the poll in our live chat, and then there is a poll going up after the show, right, Albert, in the community section of our YouTube channel where you can vote on the poll there.
That's correct, yes.
All right. Albert, you are nothing if not diligent, sir.
Albert, thank you.
All right. This is it. We do it on Fridays. Friday, Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday, Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
Memory of our fallen hero, Chris, our former engineer, I will demonstrate how I used to include Chris in the show, even as he is now, he was never on mic. He never would say a word. We would just talk about Chris. Chris, our colleague who's passed away, loved him so much. But we'd always bring him into the show one way or another in ways that will be demonstrated in Friday Fabulous Florida, and I'll do it right away to show you how we did it. We lead off Friday Fabulous Florida with this. A Florida man is caught in sexual performance with a vacuum. Chris, please. That's kind of inappropriate. Don't really want to bring your private sexual peccadillos in here. This is word out of the sheriff's office. They responded to a report of a man exposing his sexual organ in front of a residence. Chris, please. They say, observers, that this behavior was disturbing. The cell phone recording actually supported the statement of a male partially clothed in front of a residence engaged in a sexual performance with a vacuum cleaner.
Gross.
Chris, please. Further investigation by deputies revealed that the suspect and his wife were listed as the hosts of an Airbnb. Apparently, a complaint had been reported just a day prior about a man who'd been walking in a shared hallway space while nude. The incident was recorded on a Ring camera.
Image is hideous.
I wonder what the reviews are like for that Airbnb.
It didn't stop there. The investigating deputy canvassed the area and spoke with other residents that provided statements of similar behavior by the suspect. Apparently, these incidents were reported to the HOA back in December. And this gentleman appears partially clothed or nude frequently. Eventually, a warrant was obtained for the arrest of Kevin Westerhold, 51 years old, still young enough to do some of his best nude displays with vacuum cleaners. A lot of acreage ahead of him, a lot of miles still ahead, Michael.
So did the headline read, "Busted by Dustbuster"?
Oh, that would have been good. No, would have been good. You're right. That's why you're a writer, and these people are just crime reporters. He faces a charge. I would say handsome, though. We always rate their booking photos, and I'd say he looks pretty good. Although Art is Fine gives him a 1. I think he looks kind of handsome. Yeah, I think Calvin.
It's a flattering angle. It's like they had a professional photographer take this.
Did you look to the left, sir?
Can you slightly turn to the right, please?
Yeah.
Well, Sears is still getting it done. You say that the place is closed, but their portrait studio has always been the best.
I really do love it. Can you slightly turn to the right? Richard Delamater. I don't know why I thought that was so funny. It really was. In any case, yes, I know, gentlemen. That seemed to be the best way to refer to it. All right. In any case, that's the story of the Florida man caught in sexual performance with a vacuum cleaner. It normally would be enough, but not for Friday Fabulous Florida. A woman is arrested after 4 pounds of pot is found during a traffic stop in the Florida Keys. Chris, please. 4 pounds, Chris, is a little bit much. A woman was arrested after 4 pounds of marijuana and THC
Where are my
vape
weed
pens.
smokers at?
Yeah, THC vape pens also found during this traffic stop in the Florida Keys. Regla Umare de Armas, 40 years old, arrested on charges of possession of marijuana with intent to sell and possession of synthetic cannabinoids with intent to sell them. He had been stopped while driving a Hyundai SUV on US 1 near mile marker 62. That's where some of the finest arrests go down. Was a strong, what's that?
I thought drug sales would be more lucrative. She's got her Hyundai.
Well, I mean, you don't want to come in too hot.
I guess
think
so.
that's smart. She probably has the Bentley at home. There was a strong odor of marijuana coming from the SUV, and a search turned up the marijuana and 10 vape pens, according to authorities. She was booked into jail on 2 felony charges. I am going to say this, and I know you're not going to like to hear it, but I am compelled to adhere to the truth. I think she's kind of cute.
How long would it take you to use 4 bags of pot, you think?
Well, it would take me forever. But if I'm distributing it, I imagine she has a distribution network that's probably pretty strong,
Yeah.
Anybody bit of weed?
Yeah, I think she's very cute. I think Teacher Lori is right. I think she's an 8 on the booking photo meter, which we apply every time we talk about those who have been detained.
If you look very closely, by her right eye, she does have a lightning bolt tattoo on her face.
Well, that is very strong. Albert points out the lightning bolt tattoo.
Yeah,
Look,
the face shows like nice and innocent, but the face tattoo, she got an edge to her.
Yeah, she's got the bad girl. Yeah. A 9.5 says the surface spins. Look, here's the way I look at it. She's cute and she's got a job. I like it. She's found a way to make some money.
I actually thought that the lightning bolt tattoo was like mascara smeared from crying at being busted, but I guess
no, it's a tattoo.
Albert.
Look more closely. Florida man is accused of driving with the car on fire. He's arrested on DUI charges, and it really is quite the tale. It happened in Brevard County. Patrick Rinaldi, he's 60 years old. Again, still some of his best driving. A car that's on fire days are ahead of him. He was charged with driving under the influence and refusing to submit to DUI testing. Witnesses told deputies that Rinaldi had stopped, but eventually got back in the vehicle and began driving with heavy smoke coming out of the car. After driving a short distance, it stopped again, only now the flames were taking over the vehicle, but Rinaldi didn't get out. He drove away. When the deputies arrived, and fire and rescue observed putting out a brush fire that was started by that burning vehicle when he pulled it over. He was driving with his wife inside the burning vehicle. You always want to have somebody else inside the burning vehicle so they can take over driving in case you want to put out the flames that have perhaps caught onto your clothing. Rinaldi escaped. He was barely able to help his wife escape from the fire. And the smell of alcohol apparently became evident as they realized he was someone who had clearly been drinking. He said, though, he had one beer earlier, but let me finish. A bottle of liquor was located on the floorboard of the car, which is where you want to keep it. You don't want it out there on the seat. And that, again, was a clue to authorities that he was deeply, perhaps intoxicated, and he was arrested on those DUI charges. Again, he
took the directive of slightly turning to the right a little too soon.
He's looking down to his right, is what Albert's thought. For those who are just listening and not watching. Yeah. Driving while aflame, DUA, says ranting teacher Lori. Yeah.
He looks like an offspring of the late Raiders owner Al Davis. He looks like...
Yeah, that's true. He kind of has a look. He looks like an Al Davis offspring. I think. Yeah, not Al Davis himself.
Like Mark Davis, the son, with a normal haircut.
Thank you. I think that's exactly what I'm saying, yes. Well, it's time. We don't like to do it. It's like choosing between children, but we must pick a favorite. And so I review for you the various stories that you just heard. Please feel free to vote on your favorite. A Florida man caught in a sexual performance with a vacuum. A woman arrested after 4 pounds of pot found during the Florida Keys traffic stop. She is the future Mrs. Thompson. She has a job, and she's cute. Florida man accused of driving with his car on fire is arrested on DUI charges. We need to pick a favorite. Michael Snyder.
Would you arrest Evel Knievel? You wouldn't. So I wouldn't. That's unfair, number one. That guy driving with the car of fire, he should be in some kind of road rally or whatever. And the woman with the weed, that stuff is not illegal all across our great nation. Right. Clearly, it's Vacuum Boy. Vacuum Boy is the man.
Vacuum Boy is the vote there. Kim, how about you?
I agree with Yvonne. It's the car on fire. I mean, you look at that guy. Couple bottles of vodka, and he goes nuts. There he is.
It is true. Albert, how about you?
The chat seems to like the Hot Wheel guy as well as the vacuum. It's like it's a toss-up, but I like the Hot Wheel guy. It's just bizarre to see. We've seen sexual lewd, unfortunate acts in this segment, but seeing a guy willingly drive a car on fire is a new one.
Yes, it is true. We're tilling new ground, and that is Friday Fabulous Florida.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
I'm excited about bringing the Culture Blaster on, and I really have to bring you right on because we are very, very late, Culture Blaster. So,
The Mark Thompson Show.
Thanks to everybody who's been here, who's smashed the like button for us, and who's shared parts of this show and other shows with others across the universe of social media, wherever you can share. This guy is a brilliant critic of music, of the arts, of movies, of streaming. He comes and goes on a rainbow. He's a Culture Blaster, Michael Snyder, everybody. Hello, Michael. Hello.
Mark, to Kim, to Albert, wherever Tony is, and of course the Remarkables. we don't really exist without you out there. We're like the tree that falls in the forest. If no one's there, did it really happen?
Very good point and very philosophical.
Thank you for being there.
Very sophisticated reference.
So we're in perilous times, and personally speaking,
I'll ding perilous. Go ahead.
The only place I ever want to see ice is in a cool glass of lemonade. But as a public service to anyone in ICE who's being accused of criminal activity, I know the perfect hiding place for them. Any theater where the Melania documentary is playing. I promise you, no one will go there.
Oh, my gosh, Michael. That's the first lady you're talking about.
They did not let us critics see it, but I have heard that she is caught on camera saying her most famous catchphrase, "Must get secret formula from moose and squirrel."
Oh, Michael.
That was very inappropriate.
I think so, too.
I'm convinced this thing's going to sweep next year's Razzie Awards. And just a quick side note, a little social note. Being in Los Angeles, I do get invited to Hollywood parties.
I'm sure you do.
And back in the day, I did go to a Hollywood party that was attended by Melania documentary director Brett Ratner. Brett Ratner was the director of Rush Hour, one good movie and a lot of crappy ones, by the way. And he was there with his girlfriend at the time, Rebecca Gayheart, who has a little notorious story in her personal history. Brett Ratner, he struck me, honestly, Mark, as a twerp. He struck me as a twerp. So I have no great love for the guy.
Wow.
Before we get to the films, I do want to say, and I seldom talk about obits.
Do you have any more insults for anybody, Michael?
No,
or do you
people that have passed. I don't necessarily do an appreciation on the show because I'm here to do reviews and such. But I was such a big fan of Catherine O'Hara. When I was, in my salad days, I would watch SCTV on NBC. It was a CBC show that NBC brought in thanks to Lorne Michaels and his connection to Second City. And it was filled with Second City Toronto players that included, as you well know, John Candy, Eugene Levy, Joe Flaherty, Andrea Martin. Martin Short eventually joined the cast. The two women were Catherine O'Hara, the two main women, because Robin Duke was on the show, Catherine O'Hara and Andrea Martin. And Catherine O'Hara was so funny. And this show, SCTV, was much better on the laughs per minute ratio than SNL. And I'm a fan of Saturday Night Live.
Sure.
But she was so good. She had a couple of recurring characters, one of which, Lola Heatherton, was a parody of Lola Falana and Joey Heatherton. It was like a Vegas singer, dancer, variety star. And she had a catchphrase when she would go on the faux talk show, the Sammy Maudlin Show, with Joe Flaherty as the host.
I'd forgotten about that.
And John Candy as the fawning sidekick, William B. Williams. She would always, she would run into she would go, "I want to bear your babies." That was like her catchphrase, unlike Melania's. But she was so good. She did a Lucille Ball impression. Liv Ullmann. One quick thing I'd like to recommend people do is to go to YouTube, and if you can find it, there was an SCTV skit called Roma Italian Style, which is a mashup of Federico Fellini and Vittorio De Sica movies. I know it sounds a little, erudite, but I'm telling you, it's so funny. It's a parody of these kind of movies blended together, and it also has an implicit parody of crummy dubbing of foreign films. It is hilarious. And of course, we do want to point out that Catherine O'Hara, you love her from Schitt's Creek and The Last of Us and Home Alone and Beetlejuice and all those Chris Guest movies. She plays kind of a combination of Monica Vitti and I guess Anita Ekberg from Fellini's 8.5.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Oh my God, it's so incredibly funny. We will miss Catherine O'Hara.
TMZ reporting that she was rushed to the hospital due to breathing issue and passed later, says CC Ryder. We're still unclear as to what her representative said after a brief illness, but it's so young, 71. I mean, that's just sad.
And her rapport with Eugene Levy is legendary. In the Chris Guest movie, A Mighty Wind, she plays Mickey in the folk duo Mitch and Mickey, which is kind of an Ian and Sylvia takeoff with Eugene Levy. She was wonderful and hilarious. And what will the studio do without her in the cast for season 2? I have no idea.
That's very true. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, they'll have to make some kind of artistic modification.
I guess. So let's kick off the film reviews with a movie that features a Canadian woman who also, like Catherine O'Hara, can do comedy and drama. The movie's called Send Help, and it is the latest film by filmmaker Sam Raimi. You know him from like horror films like the Evil Dead films and stuff like, Send Me to Hell or whatever it's called. In any event, this stars Rachel McAdams. She is such an underrated actress, and she got her start on Canadian television on a sitcom called Slings and Arrows. Most people kind of first came aware of her in 2004 with The Notebook, where she was like the sweetheart character in this. But, she was seriously funny in Mean Girls. She was a vicious high school queen bee, Regina George. She's got incredible range, and she's got lovely performances all down the line. In Send Help, which is the latest from Sam Raimi, she plays Linda Little, who is a mousy but extremely competent employee at a company. And she was promised a promotion by the late CEO, but she is belittled and passed over for the promotion by the CEO's young, feckless son, Bradley Preston, who is heir to the business. Bradley is played by a guy I kind of imagine, he strikes me as kind of a walking smirk, Dylan O'Brien, and he seems to be channeling every good-looking, entitled, profligate tech bro that ever needed a second yacht. You know what I'm talking about? That kind of guy. And despite her meek demeanor, the character Linda is a big fan of the TV series Survivor, and she's been training to audition for the show. So when she and her new boss are stranded on an island after their plane crashes during a business trip, her survival training makes her the couple's potential salvation. And so the shifting power dynamic is an absolute ball to watch. This is funny. It's creepy. The unexpected twists in the story are even more of a treat. This works thanks to a very, very sharp and funny script that was written by, I guess, Damian Shannon and a guy named Mark Swift. Raimi's direction crackles. I totally love this movie. Send Help is in theaters. I'm so glad in January when there's a movie I can kind of rave about.
Yeah, because usually it's a dry period. So you're telling me it sounds to me like you're saying it's sort of comedy horror.
The horror elements are not that overt, but it's kind of a thriller, and you never know what's going to happen. And a few grisly things do go down.
But I mean, is there a comedic aspect too? You seem to suggest there is.
Yes, I'm telling you.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you that you're telling me.
That's what I'm telling you.
Okay.
I'm telling you that you're telling me what I've just told you.
All right, moving on.
Yes, let's do so. The next film that I want to talk about is not bad. This is, again, one of those not terrible. Michael Snyder, The Mark Thompson Show. It's called Shelter. Shelter is kind of an action thriller, and it's kind of cranked out stuff and eventually cranked up. It's more low rent fodder starring the most taciturn of tough guys, Jason Bloody Statham. He's a gruff loner living in a remote lighthouse.
Statham, talk like that.
That's the guy.
Statham, yeah.
He lives in this lighthouse with only a dog and bottles of vodka for company.
By the way, taciturn is a ding word.
Sure it is.
Yeah.
And underneath the rough exterior, though, it turns out he has a soft spot for at least one child, played by newcomer Bodie Ray Brethnock, who shows up with her uncle to bring supplies to Statham's character at the lighthouse every few days or once a week or whatever. So he does connect with her. And he also, of course, seems to love his dog. Yeah, so he's not such a cold, cruel bastard. So while we wait for him to reveal his heart, we get to learn about his troubled past and encounter those connected to it as the truth he seeks to escape catches up to him. He's out there on that remote location because he has a past. Luckily for us, the figures from his former life are played by the likes of Naomi Ackie, Daniel Mays, and Bill Nighy, who is never bad. This is directed by Rick Romanois, the filmmaker who did Greenland 2, which was released 2 weeks ago. This guy's got 2 movies in theaters in the same month. And of course, Greenland 2 was inferior to his Greenland. And this is simpler and better than Greenland 2, and not as good as Greenland. It's called Shelter, and it does what it sets out to do, which is engage you with Statham's character, give you action sequences that kind of work to an extent. It's again, it's low rent, it's low key compared to what
Not terrible is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's in theaters. Right. It's called Shelter. All right, a movie like Send Help that I can actually heartily endorse is Islands. This movie is a thriller, and it's a bit of a mystery, and it's about a tennis coach at a Spanish tropical resort. He's played by Sam Riley, who people may remember from his portrayal of the lead singer of Joy Division in a kind of biopic about that guy. And he is a tennis pro, and he at night goes to the local disco and blows it out. And so a family shows up at the tropical resort, and the woman in this husband, wife, and child triumvirate is played by Stacey Martin. And there's this kind of connection you see between them, but it's very, very subtle. She asks the tennis pro, Tom, to teach her kid a little bit, give him a few lessons. But the husband is kind of an a-hole. And he shows up and he convinces Tom to go out to the disco one night while the wife and the kid are asleep. And then that night he disappears. So the question is, what happened to Tom? Was the wife responsible? What happened to the husband? So the question is, who's responsible for his disappearance? This really reminded me of Hitchcock movies, Patricia Highsmith novels in a really good way.
You got me intrigued. You like this?
It's subtle. It's by, I believe, the German director Jan Ole Gerster, who was the co-screenwriter. The question is, who's responsible for the missing person? And the movie doesn't do what you're going to expect it to do, and it's kind of a slow burn all the way through. I really thought Islands was one of those sleeper surprises.
I like this.
It's in limited release.
Oh, it's in limited.
But you live in Los Angeles, thus you can go see Islands. Okay, let's see if we can move forward here. Oh, yes. So we have to have a foreign movie, a full-on foreign film. That previous film, even though directed by a German, is in English. So, there you go. And set in Spain. But A Poet is the Certain Regard Jury Prize winner at this past year's Cannes Film Festival. And it is a smart and effective tragicomedy of discomfort from Colombia. And it's all about this aging screw-up who clings to his early success as a poet and is incapable of getting his life in order no matter what he does. He doesn't have money. His daughter is estranged from him. He has a teenage daughter. His ex-wife, of course, doesn't want to give him the time of day. He lives with his aged mother. His brother and the rest of the family constantly are telling him how he has to get his stuff together. And it kind of pokes fun at artistic pretension, but it has sympathy for the artists who struggle to create and to survive in a world that's more interested in flash than substance. He becomes obsessed with the idea of mentoring one of the students in a class he's teaching. She comes from relative poverty. They all live together. Her entire family and extended family live in one apartment in Medellin. Is that how you pronounce it? Medellin?
Medellin?
Yeah, Medellin. Yeah. So anyway, it's the Colombian city.
Yeah.
And she's reluctant to be tutored and mentored, but she's so good that he gets her to perform at a poetry festival, and then all hell breaks loose. It is very uneasy making. Our friend Heather would call it uncomfy to watch, but oh boy, is it good. It's directed by Simon Mesa Soto, who also wrote the screenplay, and it features an unbelievable performance by Ubema Rios as Oscar, the poet in question, a poet in limited release.
All right, but soon to be in less limited.
I heartily recommend people go see it.
What do you finish up with, oh great culture blaster?
The Wrecking Crew, which is only available on Amazon Prime Video, and I'm like, why is this not in theaters?
That's about the backup.
No, it is not. It is.
Okay.
It's about it's a buddy action comedy with two very reliable, immensely likable, and this is not meant to insult them, B-level movie stars front and center. And I would say some suspension of disbelief is required because these guys, Dave Bautista and Jason Momoa, both of whom the camera loves, by the way, they play half brothers. I mean, sorry, I couldn't see it, but they play well off of one another in what is a formula film triggered by family secrets involving their late father and, oh no, a potentially devastating conspiracy. They come together to kind of unravel the mystery of their father's death. It was very diverting for 2 hours, and while watching it, I did not once think about the actual wrecking crew trying to destroy our country. So from that alone, I would say, yeah, check it out. It has kind of a serious Lethal Weapon vibe, down to the straight-laced by the book guy who was played in the Lethal Weapon movies by Danny Glover, teamed with a loose cannon. But that would have been Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon. And here, Bautista plays kind of the rock-solid family man. He's a former Navy SEAL. He lives near Honolulu, and Momoa plays this kind of out-of-control cop who has been living in Oklahoma, and they come together. And the supporting players are good. Marina Baccarin plays the Momoa character's girlfriend. It's way better than it had any right to be. But again, it's not great. It's just fun to watch, and you can watch it on Amazon Prime. It's directed by Angel Manuel Soto, who did Blue Beetle, which I totally liked, and he's a Puerto Rican director, and he knows what he's doing in terms of this kind of crowd pleaser, and that's what it is. The Wrecking Crew, available on Amazon Prime.
It is available to stream, which I like. So
Yes.
oftentimes, it's been a long week. I just like to veg out and stream.
Perfect. Klaus Bang is the villain. He's always terrific. It's fun to watch. It's just kind of chewing gum for the brain.
I understand. Well, you have provided a lot today, oh great Culture Blaster. Let me review some of what you have offered. The Wrecking Crew, you just heard about it. It's the buddy action comedy with, he's calling them B-level stars, Bautista and Momoa. You will like it, he said. It's a good little romp. It's streamable. Why not just kick it and enjoy?
It's junk food, baby, and who doesn't like a little bit of junk food now and again?
Thank you. That is exactly right.
That's not fake. That's real.
A poet is the jury prize winner at Cannes. It's a window, it would seem, Michael was saying, into the world of an artist, a poetry festival, the challenges of trying to both be true to your art and to succeed as an artist is what I got. Anyway.
Well, he's coasting on his youthful success as a poet, and he's kind of an alcoholic.
I see. You didn't mention that in your initial review.
I didn't want to insult him.
This is a supplemental review that you're providing with some additional information.
That's right. I apologize for not saying that he was a drinking McLicker.
Anyway, he likes a poet. It's in limited release, and again, it was the jury prize winner at Cannes. Islands, he heartily endorses. A tennis coach at a tropical resort. Parties at night, family shows up at that tropical resort, and then the husband goes missing after partying one night with the tennis coach. Who's responsible? German director? Michael really likes this.
I did.
You have intrigued me.
It's a subtle film, but you do subtle, don't you?
I do. In fact, that I enjoy subtle, and I may actually go this weekend to see Islands. It's in limited release. Shelter is the action thriller with Jason Statham. And Michael says it's not terrible, and it's kind of a fun indulgence is what I got from you.
Right. It's in the same realm kind of as The Wrecking Crew, but The Wrecking Crew is just more fun because it's got the banter and what have you.
I see, yeah, like the buddy comedy thing.
Or
the buddy film.
Exactly. You'll watch Shelter and you'll forget about it 5 minutes later.
Jason Statham. All right.
But you won't forget Mark's impression.
My impression of Jason Statham is underrated, everyone.
To say the least.
And finally, and firstly, as I go in reverse order, Send Help is the Sam Raimi film with Rachel McAdams from Notebook, from Mean Girls. She plays this mousy but competent employee. She's belittled. She's passed over. And then there's a plane crash. And everything changes. And Michael really likes this. You have intrigued me with two offerings at minimum. Send Help I may go see with Courtney this weekend. And it's in theaters, am I right?
Sure.
And the other is...
Islands, right?
Islands.
And
the tennis coach when somebody goes missing.
And A Poet is kind of a bummer, but it's really a brilliant film. And again, you are correct. People at home who don't want to get off the couch, The Wrecking Crew is sitting there for them.
I'm excited by what was a terrific encapsulation of the world of entertainment as it pertains to this weekend. Oh, great Culture Blaster, you've done so much. You can read Michael, and honestly, if you enjoy him here, you'll love reading him. You can read his musings at thevoicesf.org. Thevoicesf.org, the voice of San Francisco, place that Michael has embraced as his home, even though you grew up in the Philadelphia area. As I
did. Philly, New York, New Jersey.
But you are all about
Cali.
Cali, San Francisco,
I am
Niners, and Giants,
so
and
grateful
Warriors.
to live in the Democratic Republic of California. I couldn't be happier.
Well, I'm excited that you're excited. Thank you, Michael Snyder, a great one. He comes and goes on a rainbow. The Culture Blaster, everybody.
Fare thee well.
Yeah, right on, Michael. Right on.
The Mark Thompson Show.
I am so excited about everything we did today. We didn't get to everything. Kim packed in a couple of things that we're going to try to push to next week for you.
It's all my fault.
It's not your fault. In fact, you added a couple of things that we didn't get to. I don't think it's always about blame, Kim, although I know you like to blame someone all the time.
I blame you.
But it's not always about blame.
Heavy
Sometimes you should learn the word blameless. You have provided a couple of comments here, though. Let me get to them quickly.
And now, your comments.
Luis says, what the F? Because MMA at the White House wasn't bad enough. Now Trump has signed an executive order bringing an Indy race to D.C. Hashtag exec orders for anything that grifts. I didn't see the Indy race exec order. Did that just come down?
I haven't seen it either.
I'll take my mark to nothing would surprise me, and I totally agree with you that there's got to be grift behind it. I promise you, transaction of some kind. If it's not for Trump, it's for one of his friends. It's all a plan. I'll take my martini up, no ice, at the Red Jack Saloon. Come on for the Red Jack. I love my Red Jack in San Francisco. They are terrific. If you're going to San Francisco, you must go to an authentic San Francisco saloon. It's really nice. And they have all these different beers on tap. And I don't know if they still do it. Do they still have the martini and the kamikaze?
I have no information that they don't.
Yeah. So anyway, go there. It doesn't matter whether they do or not. And what I love, as you know, what really first sparked my interest in the Red Jack is that the owners live right above the saloon. Yep. Yeah. Which I think is like just sitcom material. Kathleen Bryant with a $20 super sticker. Wow.
Big shout out.
Big shout out, Kathleen. Thank you so much, Kathleen. Or thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Beth Farmer with a $20 super chat says, thanks for showing us such informative videos. Yeah, thank you for recognizing them as adding value to the world of information that we all have, Beth. Thank you, Beth Farmer. Paul Christensen with a $10 super. Come on.
Shout out.
Shout out to you, Paul, with a cool avatar, his cool picture. Handsome guy. We've done a lot today, great producer Albert. I have to give you some credit. I don't think, normally I only like to draw attention to Albert when I'm detracting from his job.
Whoever is producing this thing has no idea what they're doing.
Today, I actually have to give you some credit. You got the videos on. Kim, I'll give you credit as well for having populated this show with a lot of good information and segments, some of which we got to, some of which will be bumped to next week. I'm blessed to work with a staff that, frankly, occupy a special place in my heart. The place where I put all my mediocre colleagues. And I am... please, I can't pay them a real compliment. It's not on brand for me to pay them a real compliment. I am...
That was very inappropriate.
I just like...
Don't talk to me that way.
All right. The point is that we love each other. And I have an abiding affection for both of them. Monday, we have a week full of great guests, including Greg Palast. You'll enjoy that. And
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
For now, we must wrap up. Thank you, Albert. Thank you, Kim.
Out of time. Bye-bye.
Out of time. Thank you all. Bye-bye.